Hello everybody, welcome into Trackilicious. Happy Monday. Glad you are here with us for the GT4 Rookies Championship underway here tonight at the legendary circuit in the north of Italy. It's Imola tonight for round number 6 of the GT4 Rookies. Barrel roll incoming. Let's see if we'll have the same action we did last week at Silverstone, where indeed we did see a BMW complete a full-on barrel roll, get back on its legs, and keep on going in the race. Imola, a very tight track, pretty flat sector 1. Dr. Porkchop, welcome to the podium. You've got a couple in the season already, but now you are on the main Twitch Trackilicious podium. Welcome in, my friend. Hope you are doing well. And now, you're on a big 20-month streak. Almost made it to 2 years. Love to see the continued support. Good friend of the program, Dr. Porkchop, managed the Rookie Series up until this season. Handed it over to some great folks who are doing a great job keeping the series running. Let's head to the track and get started with the qualifying session. Or the first qualifying, I should say, of round number 6. It's our championship leader in the 44 Aston Martin rolling out of the pit lane. John Kilcoyne leads all of our rookies with 3 race wins and a handful of podiums to his name. He's got 165 points to his name in the championship, followed in second place by JP Barretto in the number 6 AMG. He also has quite a handful amount of podiums to his name, sitting 16 points behind John Kilcoyne at the top. JP Barretto has 149 points. And the aforementioned Dr. Porkchop sits in third place in the championship in his number 71 Aston Martin. Also has a win and 4 podiums to his name this season. He sits behind JP Barretto with 138 points, just 11 points behind. So it is still quite a tight championship at the top. And with, I believe, 30 points on offer for the race win. Still lots to play for in the remaining 3 rounds tonight at Imola, and the remaining 2 in the following weeks. But that is then, this is now qualifying underway. Cars making their way out onto the track to get themselves the tires, the brakes, the cars warmed up and ready for some racing action. Giancarlo Bottini in the pits for race number 1. The Firebrand Ginettas coming out in full force today. Not just the Firebrand Ginettas, I should say, the Ginettas in general. There is the other Firebrand Ginetta of Liam Blanchard, also in the pits. And how about that Blanche, the livery, getting represented tonight by the Firebrand squad as JP Barretto makes his way through the end of Sector 1 and into the Villeneuve chicane he goes. Don't want to run wide there into the gravel. A little bit oversteering on the exit, but all under control there for the driver in second place in the championship. And now the flat part is done, heads up the hill into the braking zone of the Piratella. Very tricky to get right. It's just a dab on the brakes, heavy over the curbs on the first part, and he runs wide on the exit. That will invalidate the lap for the number 6 AMG. So he will have to roll around for another go around of this 3-mile circuit. Christopher Douglas going through that same corner, hoping to keep it within the white lines. He does so and now shoots himself back down the hill into Aqua Minerale. Once again, just a dab on the brake, slinging the car to the right-hand side, and then a very tricky, heavy braking zone before finding the right line over the curbs. And he has to keep it going flat out up the second hill into the braking zone of the Variante Alta. And once again, you have to pick the line perfectly over those curbs, and he does so, keeps the lap valid, and now down the hill into the the Ravazzas to end the lap. Once again, a tricky braking zone. You're shooting down the hill all the way, getting transferred to the front. Very easy to lock up, but Christopher Douglas avoids that in the 718 Camaro. He's got a Ginetta behind, also looking for a hot lap here as Teemu Pessinen gets a valid lap on the board. A 52.137, the time to chase. Where will Christopher Douglas lie when he comes across the line? It's good enough for second, ahead of Lily Yoshimi in third. And now we will see a few more lap times come in. Rally Duchy gets ahead of Chris Douglas by about a tenth of a second in the 621 Ginetta. As the times continue to come in, Scarlett Brown across the line gets ahead of both Rally Duchy and Christopher Douglas. New name here, Reese Simmons. Welcome to the GT4 Rookies Championship. 5 minutes gone by just so far into this session as the number 64 here heading back down the hill into the final braking zones of the lap. Officially Imola labeled with 19 corners, although 2 of them are down this start-finish straight, which you can classify, if you want to classify them as a corner. This kink to the right here considered the final corner, and through goes Reese Simmons. Will this be a valid lap? It will be, and it's good enough for third, about a second and a half behind pole sitter Teemu Pessinen. Dr. Porkchop to the line. He gets ahead of Scarlett Brown and behind Teemu Pessinen by exactly 1/10 of a second. Championship leader John Kilcoyne coming up to the line here, unable to get a valid lap on the board so far, but is looking pretty speedy on this lap. Where will the 44 Firebrand Aston Martin go? He goes all the way to the top, clears Pessinen by a second. The Ginetta of Josh Ransom getting a great tow from Christopher Douglas as he gets his Ginetta into the top 5. Drivers continuing to circulate around. Pole sitter from last week, Chris Saunderson, here in the first qualifying, gets inside the top 5 ahead of Scarlett Brown in 4th place on that second row next to Dr. Porkchop. He's about a 10th behind the Doctor and less than half a 10th ahead of Scarlett Brown. It is looking very tight there for 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And in fact, Pessinen as well looking to get back onto that top spot. He held it for the beginning part of the qualifying, and he will continue to do so. Gets into the 150s. It's a 150.915 from the 111 Ginetta. Dr. Porkchop across the line looking for an improvement. Needs a big one to get onto that front row. Still good enough to improve his time and sits about 3/10 clear of Reese Simmons behind in 4th. JP Barreto looking for a valid lap. He gets one on the board. It's good enough for 7th. He sits in between Josh Ransom and Scarlett Brown. Christopher Douglas about a 10th behind Rally Duchy. Can he find it on this lap here? 6.5 minutes left in the session. And the Camaro improves ahead of Rally Duchy for 9th place. Don Fox in the 23 Firebrand Ginetta. Another Firebrand Ginetta being represented here. Welcome in, Don Fox. Needs to get a valid lap on the board here, looking to do just so, exiting the final corner, or I guess exiting the final corner now. There's 6 of them. That's quite the squad there, as he goes up to 3rd place ahead of Dr. Porkchop and Reese Simmons, behind Teemu Pessinen by exactly 1/10 of a second. Good pace from Don Fox here in the number 23. Reese Simmons now gets ahead of Dr. Porkchop and gets back onto the 2nd row. Lots of movement up and down the grid. As Reese Simmons returns back to the pits, we tune in with Austin Charlier in the Firebrand BMW, who had quite a spectacular moment at Silverstone last week, if I do remember right. I believe it was his BMW that completed the barrel roll and successfully got back on all fours, just keeping it within the white lines at the top of the hill at Piratella. Still looking for a valid lap. Here is Austin in the Firebrand 53 BMW, the lone BMW on the grid tonight. I'm sure Brian DeSantiago will be happy to at least see one on the grid here this evening. A little bit of time lost in that chicane, a little bit slow going over the second part, but able to carry the speed in that BMW. We know it's quite powerful in a straight line here. We have just 4 minutes remaining in our first qualifying session to set the grid for the first 20-minute race. Charlie looking like he's going to get a valid lap on the board here. Still a few places that he can improve as well, so this will be 12th place for the time being, about 4/10 ahead, or excuse me, behind Rally Duchy, and about a second ahead of Hezzy Thomas, who has switched over to the AMG, the Dog Box Racing 59. Same colors, same number, but just on the AMG this go around. The Ravazzas completed for Hezzy Thomas, going up to the line, looking to get that big improvement he needs. Can he get ahead of the BMW that is on the 6th row ahead? Oh, he gets so close. 2/10 separating Hezzy Thomas and Austin Charlier. Luckily for Hezzy, still time on the clock for 2 laps. Try and take down the time of Charlier in front and get ahead onto the 6th row. Don Fox here looking for a quick lap to finish out the 3rd and final sector, the chicane at the top of the hill, Variante Alta. His first challenge ahead. The Ginetta just gliding over those curbs with ease, able to carry so much speed, and it is vital to do so, as the Ginetta not very favorable in a straight line. But there he's able to take full advantage of the cornering speed and back down the hill. He can brake so much later than the other cars, taking the curb very well. He needs 2/10 to get onto provisional pole, currently being occupied by Firebrand teammate John Kilcoyne. Teemu Pessinen separates him from the 44 Aston Martin. Where will this lap put Don Fox? He goes to the front, displaces John Kilcoyne as the lead Firebrand car, and at the moment we have a Firebrand 1-2 at the front of the grid. Can Teemu Pessinen change that? He almost gets his personal best, just behind by 400ths of a second, excuse me. Lucky for him across the line, but this will be his final flying lap attempt to try and get onto that front row and spoil the Firebrand party at the top. Yeah, there are absolutely very, very tight gaps all the way up and down the grid. The top 3 separated by 2.5 tenths. Then you have Reese Simmons to Chris Saunderson, or to Scarlett Brown here, even separated by about half a second. Scarlett Brown looking for an improvement on this lap. In the last minute of the session, it is now or never for the 742 Porsche. I think, though, Scarlett will have time to cross the line and go around for another lap, as Don Fox returns to the pit lane. So that will be the best time set by the 23 Ginetta. Where can Scarlett Brown go in the 742 Porsche? Finds about 1/10 of an improvement, needs another 1/10.5 to get onto that third row alongside Dr. Porkchop. With Chris Saunderson in the pits, he will have no say of whether he can stay in 6th or not. Timer ticks to 0. This will be the last valid lap for Reese Simmons, currently sitting in 4th place. Needs a big improvement to get onto, or into the top 3, I should say. Finds a little bit of an improvement at the end there. Gets to within about a second of Don Fox's time at the top, and John Kilcoyne goes to the top, clears Don Fox by half a tenth, and it is the 44, the championship leader, taking provisional pole at the end. And Dr. Porkchop, say anything about the order in front of him. He sits in 5th place. He's got Reese Simmons in front by about 2.5 tenths of a second. Then the gap is right around 1/10 to Teemu Pessinen, and running wide on the exit of Variante Alta. That invalidates the lap for the 71 Aston Martin. 5th will be the highest that the doctor can go. Everyone else on an invalid lap, so it is all eyes on Austin Charlier. Once again, a little bit messy through the Variante Alta, but a little bit quicker than he was before on his last lap. Needs 4 tenths to get ahead of Rally Dutchy for a spot on the 6th row. Cutting the first Ravazza, carrying as much speed as possible through the second one, and now it is pedal to the metal, all the way to the line. Where will the 53 Firebrand go? Cutting over to the right-hand side of the track, and he goes to the front of the 6th row to 11th place. Gets ahead of Chris Douglas and Rally Dutchy with a good lap at the end for the BMW there. The first qualifying completed. Let's get to our grid walk for our first 20-minute race ahead of us. Leading the way, as he's done before, and current championship leader John Kilcoyne starts from pole position in the 44 Firebrand Aston Martin. He has his Firebrand teammate and making the season debut, Don Fox, in the number 23 Firebrand Ginetta, gets a front row start in 2nd place. Behind him, one of the 6 Ginettas. I should say the 2nd of the 6 Ginettas. It's Teemu Pessinen leading the 2nd row from 3rd place in his 111 pink Ginetta. Alongside him, you've got Reese Simmons in the tan Borello Racing 64 AMG, gets a spot on the 2nd row. Also, I believe, making their season debut, Dr. Porkchop, a veteran of Trackilicious, in the Chop Shop Racing in the 71 Aston Martin. Usually see him in the Alpine in seasons past, but switching it up to the Aston for this season, but maintaining that familiar teal color to his livery. Alongside him, Chris Saunderson in the lone Audi on the grid in the number 18. Allison Racing starts from the back of the third row. Next in 7th place is Scarlett Brown in the 742 Transrights X Tan B Performance Porsche. Looking to get a good getaway and perhaps find a spot in the top 5. As does 2nd place sitter in the championship, João Pedro Barreto, looking to do the same from 8th place in the Mange Racing number 6 AMG. In 9th, leading the 5th row is Josh Ransom in the 325 TVR Janetta. Alongside him is Vladimir Beluga of Beluga Racing Team in the number 5 AMG, getting a top 10 start. Next, you have Austin Charlier in the Firebrand 53 BMW. He got his lap in right at the end when the pressure was on. All eyes on the BMW, and he got ahead of fellow 6th row starter Christopher Douglas in the 718 V8 Racing Camaro. The lone Camaro on the grid this evening as well. Then you have Rally Dutchy starting from 13th on the grid in the Kuzata Racing Academy 621 Janetta. Up next is Hezzy Thomas of the Dogbox Racing Team in the number 59 AMG, starting on the grid from 14th place. Next, starting on the grid, you have Liam Blanchard, serving a quali band, but able to take the grid in the number 84 Firebrand. Behind him on the grid will be John Baptist in the number 7 Trinity Racing Porsche. Starting from the pits, we have Lily Yoshimi in the VTubers with Disabilities number 79 McLaren. Likewise in the pits, Giancarlo Bottini. We've seen him on the podium a couple times this season. How will this race go? Starting from the pits for the number 57 Firebrand, one of the 6 Firebrand teammates here tonight. Last but not least, you have Gabriel Frere in the Logitech McLaren G Challenge number 27, joining Lily and Giancarlo in the pits for race number 1. Thanks, Xander, for that hydrate. Needed that after a large grid rundown. 19 rookies tonight starting for race number 1. Just a little bit past noon local time here in the north of Italy. A little cloudy, no sun in the eyes. Good conditions for some racing tonight. John Kilcoyne leads the swarm of Janettas away. 6 of them on the grid tonight. 1/3 of the cars are Janettas, so more than likely our drivers will encounter one at some point during the race. This is the view from John Baptist rounding out the back of the grid starters. Rookies getting their tires, getting their brakes, and getting themselves, more importantly, ready for 20 minutes of wheel-to-wheel racing in the 3-mile track at Imola. Quite a roller coaster ride throughout the lap here at Imola, as the grid begins to file in zipper formation. They will go double file from here to the green light to release them for 20 minutes of racing here to start off round number 6. Lots of drivers making their season debut. Where will they fit in to the mix here tonight? Don Fox on the front row, Reese Simmons here on the second row. Time will tell. Chris Saunderson weaving, still trying to get some temperature into those tires as we get set. Long rundown for the green light here. And away we go. John Kilcoyne gets a good getaway. Don Fox having to cover off Teemu Pesinen behind, who in turn wants to cover off the fast-charging AMG, but it's Dr. Porkchop forcing his nose down the inside. That teal Aston Martin getting a good look to try and get around Reese Simmons at the start here behind. It looks pretty good so far. Just a few drivers getting a little tangled up. But apart from that, it is looking pretty clean so far at the start here. Dr. Porkchop can't get ahead of Reese Simmons. The top 5 remain the same. Chris Saunderson under pressure from Scarlett Brown going into the Tosa hairpin. The 742 Porsche has a look down the inside. Can Chris Saunderson fight the move thrown by the Porsche? He's trying to get the switchback done as they head up the hill into the braking zone of Ravazza. Oh my goodness, the Piratella, excuse me, side by side, Scarlett Brown onto the grass. Chris Saunderson leaves just about a car's length and he maintains the position ahead of Scarlett Brown. That is 6th, being held onto by the Audi. Vladimir Beluga getting a really good start. He's gained 2 positions and he's all over the back of the Porsche and Audi in front. Oh, and having to take evasive action there. He's gonna have to cut across the chicane and try to rejoin safely here. A few drivers gonna get ahead of him, but nice and safely done there from Vladimir Beluga to rejoin. Don Fox dips a wheel into the grass. John Kilcoyne blinking on screen there. Hopefully everything good for the Aston Martin there, as he is looking to appear all over the track map for the time being. And there he appears once again, drifting it into Tamburello. And unable to hang on to the car, he goes into the gravel. Don Fox goes into the lead. Teemu Pesinen goes into 2nd place. The blinking Aston will have to slot into 3rd. Dr. Porkchop did get ahead of Reese Simmons, so he will have a 4th place position, as the 64 will have 5th, and Chris Saunderson chasing behind quickly as well. And there, it's a big spike from John Kilcoyne's ping. Hopefully that is all under control there, as it seemed like he was also blinking all over the road on his screen and unable to maintain control going into the 1st corner. But it seems to have stabilized now. He looks all right here, as he is on the back of Teemu Pesinen for 2nd place. Dr. Porkchop in 4th, Reese Simmons 5th, Chris Saunderson in 6th, Scarlett Brown 7th, Liam Blanchard gets a good start, moves up to 8th place, JP Barreto in 9th, Austin Charlier slots inside the top 10 as well for the Firebrand team, Chris Douglas 11th, Hezi Thomas in 12th, John Baptist in 13th, Rally Duchy, Giancarlo Bottini, then Vladimir Beluga. Unfortunately, they're dropping back to 17th. And Gabriel Frere and Lily Yoshimi, the 2 McLaren starting from the pits, round out the grid here so far tonight. Just 4 minutes into the race, still a long way to go, as Reese Simmons showing a bit of pace in the 64, gets the fastest lap of the race in their efforts to chase down the 2 Astons in front of John Kilcoyne and Dr. Porkchop directly in front. Chris Saunderson's not going to make it easy, though, in that number 18 Audi, looking pretty big in the mirrors of Simmons. This is the view on board the roaring V10 of Chris Saunderson in the lone Audi. But proving that in the right hands, the Audi can be quick. Track limits will certainly be something to consider for these drivers. Lots of areas where just a little bit of a cut can certainly be costly, and in this game, 3 track cuts are okay, and on the 4th one, though, the driver will get a drive-through penalty, and that will certainly be costly, especially in a 20-minute race here without any sort of mandatory pit stops. Chris Saunderson doing exactly what I was mentioning there, running wide, hopefully not picking up any track limit violations in doing so, and unfortunately hurting his chances of chasing down a top 5 position, losing a little bit of time bouncing over those big sausage curbs on the outside of Variante Alta. Josh Ransom trying to challenge John Baptist for a position, a little bit of a tap to the back of the Porsche, forcing him into the gravel there as the number 7 can't get back on the track, with Rally Duchy and Giancarlo Bottini going through in the Ginettas as well. Good sportsmanship from Josh Ransom, hanging on and waiting for John Baptist to roll on through. Always great to see that from the rookies. Teemu Pessinen dips a wheel on the exit of Villeneuve. John Kilcoyne, he's gonna dive down the inside of Tosa. Teemu Pessinen saw it coming, tries to keep the grip around the outside, and they're gonna run side by side up the hill into the Piratella. John Kilcoyne just not alongside enough to try and challenge. He will drift behind the Ginetta and will have to fight for second place in another part of the track. Great defense from Teemu Pessinen, as both him and John Kilcoyne now share the fastest lap of the race. It's a 151.262 from the pair of them. Don Fox has been able to build a pretty decent 3-second gap over Teemu Pessinen in second place, as the Ginetta of Pessinen and John Kilcoyne begin to battle for position. The Ginettas of Giancarlo Bottini and Rally Duchy getting closer and closer in this battle for 13th place. Giancarlo starting from the pits, catching up to Rally Duchy. I believe I saw the 621 with a yellow flag at one point on the map, so may have been involved in a little bit of an incident there. Was the 621, as the 57 in the slipstream tucks in and now dives out and looking for a move down the inside into the Tamburello chicane. They go through turn 1, that slight kink, and now into the braking zone. The 57 gets ahead and looks to stay ahead here through. Oh, and Chris Douglas in the 718 Camaro going slowly on the exit, losing the places to Hezzy Thomas, Giancarlo Bottini, and now Rally Duchy as well, but able to keep the car pointed in the right direction. He's still in the race, crucially. Vladimir Beluga back to the pits. Unfortunate there for the number 5 AMG. As Giancarlo Bottini takes one, he looks to take another here. That's Hezzy Thomas ahead of him in the dog box, racing at, or my gosh, I keep trying to call it an Aston Martin. It certainly isn't. It is an AMG. He runs over the curbs a little bit heavily, slowing him down. Giancarlo Bottini uses the pace of the Ginetta, but Hezzy Thomas is going to try to defend down the inside. Giancarlo can't quite take the apex as he would have liked, but nonetheless gets the position. Well-positioned move. That wording wasn't great, but hey, we'll roll with it. Gets ahead of Hezzy Thomas. He now has 11th place, and the gap to Austin Charlier for a top 10 spot is right around 11 seconds. And Hezzy Thomas and Rally Duchy soon also beginning to battle for position. Teemu Pessinen now the sole possessor of the fastest lap of the race, improved that quickest lap by about half a tenth. So he now has that purple tag next to his name. 10 minutes of racing completed, 10 more to go. Lots of action so far, especially this battle here for a top 5 place between Chris Saunderson and Reese Simmons. The 64 hanging on to that top 5 spot, but Chris Saunderson not making it easy, making those headlights very big in the mirrors of the AMG in front. Simmons defending down the inside, but back onto the racing line with Chris Saunderson not being close enough to challenge into the Variante Alta. We've seen a move done there before, so it is certainly possible to get it done. These two cars pretty evenly matched, it seems like, throughout the lap. It doesn't look like the Audi has an advantage over the AMG in any part of the track over another. So it is just down to the driver's skill here. Dr. Porkchop able to pull out a pretty healthy 2.5 second gap over this battling duo, but he himself also has around 2 seconds to try and catch up to the podium sitters, who are gonna go side by side into Tamburello. Pessinen defends down the inside, and the Ginetta, with its better cornering ability, braking later, hanging on to the position, but the Aston is certainly going to fight back, and it is looking for a move down the inside of Villeneuve, just not close enough to do it there. Pessinen avoiding the curb, or excuse me, the gravel on the outside there of the Villeneuve. As we've seen, it almost cost him the position to John Kilcoyne in this part of the lap a few laps ago. Oh, and JP Barreto under yellow flags at the Villeneuve chicane. He looks to stay ahead of Giancarlo Bottini, and he does so. Bottini almost had a look down the inside there, but just thought the better of it and peeling back behind. Unfortunately for the 6, losing a few places, and Giancarlo Bottini, late move down the inside of the Piratella. The Ginetta gets it done. I was gonna say, I believe JP Barreto running in 8th place, losing the positions to Liam Blanchard and Austin Charley after that mistake, and Giancarlo Bottini with a great move, late and heavy braking down the inside of the Piratella. Absolutely textbook move from the Ginetta. Pessinen and Kilcoyne beginning to battle. Dr. Porkchop closing that gap to within a 1.5 seconds, and John Kilcoyne now desperately trying to find a way by. His main advantage is down the straight. Unfortunately for him, there aren't very many of those here around Imola. The Ginetta able to just sling all of the momentum around the corners and keep the pace throughout the lap and not allow the Aston Martin to close in. Oh, and there may have been contact between Reese Simmons and Chris Saunderson, both of them going slowly out of the Villeneuve chicane. Reese Simmons dropping here to 7th place, and Chris Saunderson to 8th. That will move Scarlett Brown into a top 5 position in the 742 Porsche. Liam Blanchard as well gains a place as he now sits in 6th. Josh Ransom getting involved in another battle here with Christopher Douglas and Gabriel Frere behind him. Down the inside of Aqua Minerale, Josh Ransom. Late move gets it done. Beautifully lined up. And the Ginettas are absolutely sending it here into the braking zones with some great moves. Chris Douglas with a tap to the back of Josh Ransom. He's able to keep the car pointed in the correct direction. Same with Chris Douglas. Gabriel Frere having to just apply the brakes and sit back there. Can't take advantage of the two cars battling in front. He's going to try it here. Down the hill into the Ravazzas. And once again, Chris Douglas confident on the brakes, but a little too deep and into the gravel, into the second Ravazza. Gabriel Frere trying to hang on to the position. Down the inside, down the main straight they go. He has to tuck in, and Chris Douglas hanging on to 15th place here. Kilcoyne once again all over the back of the Ginetta, and just 4 minutes remain in the race. 3 racing laps to go for John Kilcoyne to try and find his way by and get a second place finish here ahead of Teemu Pessinen. There is nothing to take away from Pessinen's drive. He's got the fastest lap, showing he's got the pace in his 111 Ginetta, and defending perfectly when it matters at any attack that John Kilcoyne is throwing his way. Liam Blanchard trying to find a spot in the top 5, looking to get it done past Scarlett Brown around the outside of the second Ravazza, taking a lot of grass. Down the inside, there's 3 cars battling for position here, nearly squeezing Reese Simmons into the pit wall there, and the AMG looks to take full advantage, tucks in behind Scarlett Brown, but there is no way by. There is just a wall ahead of the AMG, and Chris Saunderson looks to close in as well. Scarlett Brown defending into Tamburello, hanging on to 5th place. Liam Blanchard in 6th, Reese Simmons there in 7th, and Chris Saunderson in 8th. 4-car battle for a spot in the top 5. Lily Yoshimi getting a drive through here in the closing minutes of race number 1. Scarlett Brown up ahead of the Ginetta, who's ahead of the AMG, who's ahead of the Audi. 4 different manufacturers in this battle here as well. 2 minutes to go. This lap plus 1 more for the positions to be decided. Liam Blanchard pushing hard out of Variante Alta. Scarlett Brown taking the defensive line early, but giving just enough space for Liam Blanchard to try and go around the outside. Can he hang on to the move? Reese Simmons thought about it as well. Chris Saunderson cuts through the whole chicane at the top as he is now on the back foot for this battle here. Liam Blanchard just can't find a way by Scarlett Brown. That Porsche is making itself very, very wide. And you heard it there from the race director. On to the final lap we go. Liam Blanchard early and early on the straight, gets ahead of Scarlett Brown. He's gonna give the slipstream now to the cars behind. Can the Ginetta use the cornering ability to maintain this place? As Scarlett Brown dives in, they're 3 wide going into turn 1, but they're just thinking the better of it. Reese Simmons now battling with Scarlett Brown for 6th place, tucking back in behind not Giancarlo Bottini. It's the same livery, but that's Liam Blanchard driving in the 84, moves up to 5th. Reese Simmons looking to do the same to get by the Porsche for a 6th place position. We lost a driver here in the closing stages of the race. I think we've lost, can't quite tell who it is, But nonetheless, this three-car battle now going to continue. Liam Blanchard building a pretty decent gap to not allow the Porsche to send a late move down the inside. Just a few corners, just a few braking zones even remain for any of these cars to try to find a way by. Chris Saunderson trying to go side by side into Variante Alta and try and get ahead of Reese Simmons. He's been looking at the back of that AMG all race and just cannot find a way by. At the front, Don Fox, issue free, able to take advantage when John Kilcoyne unfortunately had the incident, but having the pace, leading the Firebrands across the line as he takes first place. Teemu Pessinen across the line in second, maintains that place, holds on to the attacks thrown by John Kilcoyne, and there's been a change at the back. Liam Blanchard behind Chris Saunderson. Let's take a look at what happened here. Gets a bad exit out of the Variante Alta, and down the hill they go. He looks to hang on to the inside. Scarlett Brown forces a way by and then gets tagged behind by Reese Simmons in the AMG. So Scarlett Brown will finish in 5th, Reese Simmons in 6th. Chris Saunderson gets ahead in 7th, and Liam Blanchard unfortunately at the Ravazzas losing it there and moving back down to 8th. Giancarlo Bottini, after a pit lane start, moves up to 9th. Austin Charlier finishes in the top 10. Then you have Rally Duchy in 11th. JP Barreto in 12th. Gabriel Frere with a pit lane start finishing in 13th. Hezi Thomas in 14th. Chris Douglas 15th. John Baptist in 16th. Lily Yoshimi across the line in 17th place. Josh Ransom and Vladimir Beluga unfortunately out of the race there. Tight battles. Unfortunate there for Liam Blanchard at the end to be involved and getting thrown out of a top 5 finish. Let's run it back. Another 15-minute qualifying session here for our rookies to get out and go to set the grid for the second race of the night. Giancarlo Bottini out early. He leads the field out of the pit lane, getting a good finish despite that pit lane start. Yeah, Liam, that can certainly be frustrating and in a very tight battle. But I will say that was some absolutely epic racing, and we hope to see more of that hard racing. Not necessarily the incident, of course, but just the hard racing in between then. Lots of positives to take away as well. I mean, hey, yeah, exactly. I mean, hey, still from 2nd to last to 8th is still not bad either. But now the rookie's more familiar with the track, more familiar with how the cars behave in a racing situation. How will the grid be different here in race number 2? Dr. Porkchop having a comfortable gap in front and behind for him in his 4th place finish, I do believe, in race number 1. As the cars behind began to battle, in the top 3 just pulling out about a 2.5 second gap. But here in race 2, anything changes. Or excuse me, anything and everything can change. Slightly different conditions. A little bit hotter than we saw in the first qualifying and the race as well. was Scarlet Brown at the end, finishing in 5th with a good move down the inside. But unfortunately, contact from drivers behind saw the 84 of Liam Blanchard get spun out, losing those places at the end. But once again, lots of good racing before, just a little bit unlucky for Mr. Liam there. That Firebrand livery is looking very good tonight. Lots of Firebrands in the race, from championship leader John Kilcoyne to Giancarlo Bottini in the 57 Ginetta. We got race winner from race 1, Don Fox, part of that Firebrand team as well. They're out in full force tonight. Speaking of the Firebrands, Giancarlo Bottini, he's on the board. It's a 152.385 for the rest of the grid to chase down. Hezzy Thomas next across the line. He gets about 3.5 tenths behind Giancarlo Bottini. That's a good lap from Hezzy Thomas, considering he is our controller warrior. Dr. Porkchop closing out the laps, or the lap, excuse me, I should say. He's got the AMG of Reese Simmons ahead, also looking to get a lap on the board. Reese Simmons unable to get a valid lap, but Dr. Porkchop does, and he goes to the top. A 152.115, now the provisional time for the drivers to chase down. John Baptist to the line in the Trinity Racing Porsche. He gets a lap on the board, about 8 tenths ahead of Hezzy Thomas. Austin Charlier finishing in the top 10 in race number 1. Can he keep that momentum going and start from inside the top 10 this time? Started just outside in race number 1, as he is giving quite a handy tow as well to the Ginetta behind. Charlier to the line, gets ahead of Hezzy Thomas, about 2 tenths behind John Baptist. And there is that heavy tow we are seeing. He is giving that tow. Firebrand teammate. Giancarlo Bottini. Don Fox next across the line. Started on the front row in race 1, and he goes to the top by about a second. It's a 151.0 now for the drivers to chase down for that pole position time. Scarlett Brown gets on the board in 4th place between Giancarlo Bottini and Rally Dutchy as well, sitting just ahead here of Don Fox. Teemu Pessinen in the 111, finishing in 2nd here in race number 1. Qualified in 3rd. The BMW sliding over the curbs in front of him, has to yield with the blue flags being waved heavily over the curbs, bouncing through the grass. And Teemu Pessinen, unfortunately for him, also getting an invalidation there through the chicane, so he will have to go around once more halfway into the qualifying. Still missing laps from Pessinen, John Kilcoyne, and Vladimir Beluga. John Kilcoyne here also on an invalid lap. He's going to have to go around once more. But the times are looking pretty decent from the Aston Martin and the Ginetta of Pessinen. Those times would have slotted them into second and third place. So they can just keep it within track limits. It is looking like we are on for a similar top three that we saw in race number 1. Dr. Porkchop to the line. He's within 7/10 of Don Fox's time and now gets within 3.5 So lots of improvement from the 71 Aston Martin as he goes off the track. I think he's just trying to slow down and get back to the pits there. And into the gravel and back to the pit lane. There was Reese Simmons passing by. Austin Charlier here once again looking to close out the lap, but invalidating it over the curbs at Variante Alta. John Kilcoyne closing out his lap here. Just the Ravazzas remain for the 44 Aston Martin. Vladimir Beluga did get a lap on the board. He sits in 9th behind Charlier and ahead of Hezi Thomas. Pessinen has to go around once more. Gabriel Frere unable to get a valid lap on the board just yet. And John Kilcoyne crosses the line, gets onto the second row alongside Reese Simmons in 3rd. Beluga looking for a big gain on this lap. 5 minutes remain. The Beluga Racing Team AMG sitting in 10th. Needs 6/10 to get ahead of Charlier, about a second to get ahead of Baptist. And he gets ahead of the pair of them and Rally Dutchy as well by a few hundredths of a second. So that'll be a top spot on the 4th row for Vladimir Beluga. Reese Simmons with a good lap to get onto the front row alongside Don Fox, gets within 1/10 of the Ginetta's time. So now it's Pessinen rounding out the Ravazzas. 111 Ginetta still without a valid lap on the board, but getting one here where it counts at the end of the session. He's going to be alongside Dr. Porkchop on the 2nd row. Scarlett Brown looking to get ahead of Giancarlo Bottini, less than 1/10, separating those two drivers. This is for a spot in the on the third row, I should say, from Scarlett Brown. Coming up to the line, gets ahead of Bottini. And Gabriel Frere with a valid lap on the board. He sits inside the top 10 in 8th. Losing a few drivers from race number 1 down to 17 here in race number 2. We're missing the Ginetta of Josh Ransom, I do believe. and the AMG of JP Barreto as well. Oh, and Pessinen runs wide through the Ravazzas, invalidating the lap right at the end there. It was looking pretty quick from the 111. So now it's a do or die lap here for Teemu Pessinen to try and get onto the front row. Charlier getting shuffled down to 12th. And now he improves up to 11th with his previous best on that lap there, a 54.395 from the BMW, sitting just outside the top 10. But crucially, crossing the line before the checkered flag waving, so he has this 3-mile lap remaining to try and get inside the top 10. Pedal to the metal for Vladimir Beluga. Needs a good bit of time to get ahead of Gabriel Frere, but crosses the line before the checkered flag waves, so he's got one more qualifying lap attempt. Oh, and going deep into Tamburello, into the gravel. That is unfortunately going to be the session done for Beluga. John Baptiste in 12th. Needs 4/10 to get ahead of Charlier. Can the Trinity Racing Porsche find the time? Zeros, on the clock. Checkered flag is out. John Baptiste gets the improvement at the end there, then moves ahead of the 53 BMW, who has invalidated the lap. So unfortunately, Charlier getting shuffled down to 12th there and has nothing he can say about it after running outside of the track limits. The two McLarens, Lily Yoshimi just ahead of Gabriel Frere here on the road as the pair of them look for improvements with the checkered flag waving. The 79 first to cross the line, gets ahead of Hezzy Thomas for 13th place. And now where will Gabriel Frere go? He goes ahead of a couple drivers to get alongside John Kilcoyne on the third row. John Kilcoyne, though, looking for an improvement. Don Fox runs wide, invalidates his lap. Now it's just John Kilcoyne remaining on a valid lap to the line, and he goes to third. And once again, those times in the top three within a 1/10 of a second. Reese Simmons gets the start on the front row alongside Don Fox. Different grid order here for race number 2 than we saw in race number 1. Let's see how the grid stacks up here for the second and final 20-minute race in round number 6 around Imola. It's the race winner from race 1, starting from pole position. Don Fox in the 23 Firebrand Ginetta will lead the way for company. He will have 6th place finisher from race number 1. Reese Simmons getting a front row start in the Tamburello Racing number 64 AMG. John Kilcoyne starts from 3rd, and he leads in all Aston Martin. 2nd row in the Firebrand number 44 Aston Martin. And Dr. Porkchop alongside him in the 71 Chop Shop Racing. That's number 1 and 3 in the championship in those two Aston Martins. Teemu Pessinen in the 111 Ginetta starts from 5th, looking to get another podium finish here in race number 2. Gabriel Frere with a great lap at the end there, to get alongside Teemu Pessinen on the third row in his Logitech McLaren G Challenge number 27. In 7th place is Scarlett Brown in the Trans Rights X-Tan B Performance 742 Porsche. Alongside will be Giancarlo Bottini in the 57 Firebrand Ginetta, able to take the grid here in race number 2, and he will start from 8th. Vladimir Beluga leads the 5th row in the Beluga Racing Team number 5 AMG. Rounding out the top 10 is Rally Duchy in the Kuzata Racing Academy number 621 Ginetta. Starting in 11th is John Baptist in the Trinity Racing number 7 Porsche. And on the 6th row, keeping him company, is Austin Charlier in the number 53 Firebrand BMW. Up next, you have Lily Yoshimi in the VTubers with Disabilities number 79 McLaren, followed by Hezi Thomas in the Dog Box Racing number 59 AMG. Engines getting started here. Liam Blanchard in the Firebrand number 84, starting from the back of the grid with that qualifying ban, I do believe, it being issued to him here for race number 2. So he will round out the grid at the start. Chris Douglas starting from the pits in the 718 V8 Racing Camaro. Same with Chris Saunderson. These two starting from the pits in the Allison Racing number 18 Audi. Just waiting for the grid to go around on their formation lap. They will be able to warm their tires and their brakes up just that slightly bit more than those sitting in the pits. And once again, thank you, Xander, for the hydrate. Always need it after those grid walks, especially when I'm all here by my lonesome in the commentary box. But happy to be here providing the action for you guys watching along. Hope you've enjoyed race number 1. We've got another 20 minutes of racing up ahead. Relatively clean race 1, I would say. Hoping for more of the same. We'll see if we can get a Firebrand 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the board. I believe 6 of them tonight here being represented, with Don Fox being the lead Firebrand car. Reese Simmons here showing the pace in the AMG, getting within a 10th of Don Fox. So will this front row start benefit the AMG and try and get that position early on? Getting to the top of the second hill at the Variante Alta. Drivers, final chances to get any last minute preparations done on the car. Get the traction control set, the ABS, the brake bias, and more importantly, get the mindset ready for 20 minutes of close racing here, especially around Imola. The tight and twisty track just provides a lot of opportunities for side-by-side racing where the inside turns to the outside. And we've seen it in race 1. What will we see here in race number 2? Zipper going around the Ravazzas and onto the start-finish straight curves, whatever you want to call it here at Imola. And it is a long run down to the green lights. Lots of time to think about what you want to do. Do you go for the early move? Do you just wait it out? 20 minutes, still quite a long way to go to try to make up some positions. But of course, the start, one of the better places to do it. What will we see here? as the grid comes down to the green light.
Green light, go, go, go.
Green lights, illuminated green flag waves. It's Gabriel Frere in the McLaren who's getting a good start. He tried to go around the outside, but Dr. Porkchop held on. And in fact, it's Dr. Porkchop challenging for a spot on the podium. He gets ahead of John Kilcoyne in the battle of the two Aston Martins. Rally Dutchy, I believe, getting kicked into the gravel there. That's the 621 getting a little bit stranded. And now Gabriel Frere challenging John Kilcoyne for that 4th place. They're going to go side by side, and there's contact. Gabriel Frere gets spun the wrong way around, and John Kilcoyne able to keep the car pointed in the right direction. He now maintains 6th ahead of Giancarlo Bottini, Scarlett Brown, and Teemu Pessinen, able to take advantage of the cars behind it. Scarlett Brown running in 4th, Teemu Pessinen in 5th behind in the 111 Ginetta. Unfortunately, Gabriel Frere getting shuffled to the back of the grid there after getting spun. Spinning. Not quite sure how to judge that incident. We'll leave it to the stewards. Teemu Pessinen looking to get the position ahead of Scarlett Brown here, and John Kilcoyne already on the early charge trying to make up places. Oh my goodness, it's gonna be John Kilcoyne going into Scarlett Brown. Teemu Pessinen with the late move to the left. John Kilcoyne had to react to that, and Scarlett Brown was already through the corner. And unfortunately there, John Kilcoyne nowhere to go but into the Porsche. And the championship leader getting involved in a few incidents early on here, behind Rally Dutchy now for 14th. John Baptist side by side with Lily Yoshimi. Not sure if there was contact or not, but the 7 now having to wait it out. Gabriel Frere wiggling his way through it, nearly collecting the Porsche along the way there. Certainly yellow flags waving all around the track. Austin Charlier says thank you very much for the carnage. All taking 8th place position. He's challenging Vladimir Beluga, who runs a little bit wide onto the grass. That won't help the AMG keep the speed up the hill here. Austin Charlier, will he have a look down the inside? He's thinking about it, but not quite close enough to force the side-by-side the side-by-side move down the inside of the Piratella. Scarlett Brown with the battle for 9th. Hezzy Thomas getting shuffled out at Aqua Minerale. That will be a 10th place position for the 59 dog box, as Scarlett Brown and John Kilcoyne in the background there coming in contact at this part of the track here at the Ravazzas on the previous lap, now having the work to do to get back into the positions that they were running in before. Rally Dutchy battling with Lily Yoshimi. Not a lot of room left on the inside there. Rally Dutchy wasn't offered much space, but he didn't really earn it. Wasn't quite side by side with the McLaren enough there to try and force that move into the final corner, but he's going to try to line up the move into the Tamburello chicane. Very difficult to do, of course, with the McLaren straight line speed advantage, but Rally Dutchy will certainly make up that time in the corners here. About 4 seconds up from these battling duo. It's John Kilcoyne now on the back of Hezzy Thomas, looking for a move down the inside of the hairpin. He's forcing his car down the inside. Hezzy Thomas leaving plenty of space. Very respectful from the AMG as he will slot back in behind John Kilcoyne. And this will be 10th for Kilcoyne and 11th for Hezzy Thomas. Don Fox has the fastest lap of the race. Got it on his previous lap. Teemu Pessinen looking for that podium position, and he's going to try to take it away from Dr. Porkchop, who got it early into turn 1. Turn 2, I suppose, technically, into Tamarello. Got it around the outside of John Kilcoyne, but now has the Ginetta all over him, and he's looking very racy, keeping all of the momentum out of the second Ravazza. It needs to do it because Dr. Porkchop will certainly have the straight line speed advantage in the Aston Martin, already ahead of the Ginetta. And into turn 1, Dr. Porkchop able to defend the position. Doesn't actually even need to take a defensive line, but here through the corners, Teemu Pessinen throwing that Ginetta around like crazy. I say like crazy, but it's completely normal for that car. It likes to take the corners in that kind of manner compared to the Aston Martin, which has to be so smooth and delicate over those curbs. And the Ginetta here side by side once again, trying to line it up out of the hairpin. Up the hill they go. A little bit of an overlap here for Teemu Pessinen. He's awarded the space by Dr. Porkchop down the inside of Piratella. That's a podium place for the 111 Ginetta. Dr. Porkchop will certainly try and stay close to the Ginetta in front, as he predicted earlier, was going to get swarmed by these Ginettas, and it is looking that way, finding himself in a sandwich here between Pessinen and Giancarlo Bottini. Porkchop being given some energy from Xander Zone, hoping for the defense once again here for 4th. From Giancarlo Bottini, flashing the lights away, telling Dr. Porkchop, I am here, I'm about to attack. And Lily Yoshimi getting a drive-through for track limits, just 7.5 minutes into this race here. We'll have to serve that within 3 laps time. As Giancarlo Bottini making up a few places from the start here, rounding out the top 5, but he is looking for 4th to take that place away from Dr. Porkchop. Behind him is Liam Blanchard in 6th, making up a lot of places after starting from the back of the grid. He rides in 6th, Austin Charlier in 7th. That makes 3 Firebrand cars in a row running from 5th to 7th. Then you have Scarlett Brown trying to chase down Austin Charlier, with John Kilcoyne not too far behind as well. Porsche and Aston Martin coming into contact earlier, but of course that was then, and this is now. Put that in the past and begin racing once again here. Austin Charlier in the BMW ahead, a little bit slow exiting Aqua Minerale. Scarlett Brown gonna have a look down the inside of the Variante Alta. Austin Charlier trying to hang on. He goes heavily over the curbs. John Kilcoyne taking evasive action, runs wide, but gets the place ahead of Firebrand teammate. And Vladimir Beluga looking to make up the place as well. They're going to go side by side down the hill and into the first Ravazza they go. Vladimir Beluga makes that car wide and very difficult to pass, but takes a little bit too much speed through the corner. Unfortunately, Austin can't make up the position there. So after Scarlett Brown and John Kilcoyne and Vladimir Beluga work their way through, Austin Charlier now in 10th. but still a good position for him, making up a few places after starting from 12th. Teemu Pesinen with some good laps here
Keep it up.
as we have hit the halfway mark of the second race here in round number 6 at Imola. There is the battle for second and third. Reese Simmons with pressure behind being applied by Teemu Pesinen, building the gap over Dr. Porkchop by about 3 seconds. Giancarlo Bottini having a look down the inside. Not a lot of room on offer there. He was trying to sneak on through, but Dr. Porkchop not having it one bit there. Ginetta pushing really hard, sliding through Aqua Minerale. And that's Teemu Pesinen having a look and thinking the better of it. And it's the same situation here for Giancarlo Bottini. Just thought about sticking the nose down the inside, but can't quite make the move stick just yet. That energy being used very well by Dr. Porkchop to hang on to 4th, with Giancarlo Bottini pushing very, very hard in the 57. We saw it with the slide through Aqua Minerale. Teemu Pesinen looking for a move into Tamburello. He's trying to line up Reese Simmons. They're going to battle side by side, nearly on 2 wheels. Teemu Pesinen trying to get the move done. He's going to make it stick, and he gets second place. Style points for Teemu, getting the move done through Tamburello on 2 wheels and sliding on the exit of Villeneuve. That's one Ginetta making up a position. Giancarlo Bottini will look to take inspiration from that move and try and get past Dr. Porkchop for 4th. Gabriel Frere on the back of Hezzy Thomas with Rally Dutchy for company in the Ginetta as well. This is the battle for 11th, 12th, and 13th place. Gabriel Frere, after the incident here at Villeneuve, going through that corner now, looking to make up the ground, trying to get ahead of the AMG of Hezzy Thomas. He defends very well though, but unfortunately here the straight line speed of the McLaren very evident. And we've seen a move done here, not once, not twice, but we're not going to see it done here. It's a 3-wide battle. And Rally Dutchy says, thank you very much. I'll take those 2 places, and I will move up into 11th place. The 2 drivers starting from the pit lane, battling it out here. Chris Saunderson gets ahead of Chris Douglas on the previous lap here. John Baptist looking to close in as well in the number 7 Porsche. Lots of battles all the way up and down the grid here. After the gap growing to Giancarlo Bottini, he has shrunk it right back down to bumper action. Oh, and again, the Ginetta's just having late looks down the inside, but unable to make the move stick with Dr. Porkchop once again defending very mightily. We've seen it from him before, and that is just experience playing into the hands of Dr. Porkchop, knowing exactly where to position the car to not allow the Ginetta to go on through. So going through Variante Alta, there are 4 cars here in shot. That's Teemu Pesinen in second leading the charge from Reese Simmons, then Dr. Porkchop and Giancarlo Bottini battling here for 4th and 5th. And with all this battling going on, that's allowed Don Fox to build the gap at the front to 9.5 seconds. Don Fox here exiting Tamburello in a world of his own. Nearly a 10-second gap to the next Ginetta behind of Teemu Pessinen. Got past Reese Simmons recently and has built the gap to about 1.3 seconds. Then you have Dr. Porkchop here in 4th with Giancarlo Bottini in 5th, just looking to try and get any sort of space. Dr. Porkchop dipping a wheel into the gravel. That might slow him down just that little bit that Giancarlo Bottini needs to try and get the move done, but through that Tosa hairpin, Dr. Porkchop very comfortable on the brakes and keeps his Aston Martin ahead. Oh, Gabriel Frere going through the Tamburello chicane. And into the gravel. That will allow Chris Douglas and John Baptist to get those positions. Gaps building and growing in a few places. John Kilcoyne gets a drive through the 44 after trying to make up the places with the contact that occurred earlier on, pushing a little bit too hard too many times past the track limit line and getting a drive through. He serves it now, crawling at pit lane speed. I believe he was running in 10th or 11th, or no, excuse me, he was running in 8th place, losing a few places here to Beluga, Charlie A, Rally Dutchy, Hezzy Thomas going through as well. Whoa, and the what? Disqualified for speeding in the pits? What? What? He was rolling at pit lane speed just fine. What? We saw it in race number 1 as well, I believe. One of the AMGs got a DSQ for speeding in the pit lane as well. And John Baptist in the number 7 returning to the pits as well. Lots of victims here in race number 2.
Alright, man, the leader is on the final lap. Give it a final push.
And just like that, this race has gone by so quickly with all of the action going on. On to the 11th racing lap for Don Fox. He leads the way as he has from the get-go in the Firebrand 23. Yeah, maybe he entered the pit lane too fast. We also tuned away from him when he exited, so maybe just disengaging the pit limiter a little bit too soon before that pit exit. But yeah, you're certainly right. I feel... Yeah. You're absolutely right. We tuned in right at the middle. We didn't see any of the moments that he could have been speeding. So yeah, unfortunately, things going not the way of John Kilcoyne tonight. But our championship leader, I'm sure, will be back and stronger than ever next week, looking to defend that top spot with just 2 rounds remaining after tonight's races. and it is on to the final lap. Dr. Porkchop pushing Reese Simmons now for a spot in, or on the podium, I should say. Just one sector to go with Giancarlo Bottini behind as well. He may well benefit and get some places as well here, but Reese Simmons is looking pretty handy in defending that second place position. And Don Fox going through the final corner. He makes it 2 out of 2 on the night. The 23 Firebrand Ginetta, 2 race wins in a row here in round number 6. Teemu Pesinen, great racing from him to take second place after starting from 5th. 2 podiums for Pesinen tonight. And Reese Simmons on debut takes 3rd place with Dr. Porkchop defending very well for 4th place ahead of Giancarlo Bottini. Good race from him to finish in 5th as well. Liam Blanchard from the back of the grid to 6th with Scarlett Brown nearly getting the position there to take 7th place across the checkered flag, or across the line, I should say, to take the checkered flag. Vladimir Beluga next. He takes 8th place. Austin Charlier with another top 10 finish for the number 53 Firebrand team. The BMW takes 9th. Rally Dutchy, the 621, getting involved in some incidents earlier on, but it is nonetheless a top 10 finish for Rally Dutchy. Ezzy Thomas was around a lot of cars throughout the race, but he maintains a good position here in 11th. Takes the checkered flag. Chris Saunderson with that damaged front end. Good perseverance from him to take the checkered flag from the pit lane start as well in 12th. And Chris Douglas and Gabriel Frere are not done yet. Wow, what a close finish between those two. Separated by just 0.2 of a second across the line. Douglas takes 13th and Gabriel Frere in 14th place. John Baptist after the pits. He did come out and take the checkered flag in 15th as well. And we'll take it back to our studio here and wait for our podium sitters to filter on in and take a quick chat with us here in the stream room.
Green light, go, go, go.
And the green light waves once again. Round number 6 completed here tonight at Imola, and that means we just have 2 remaining. Next week we go to America once again for the championship, and it is once again the same format next week. 2 15-minute races followed by those 20-minute races, and after next week it is just 1 round left at Snetterton for the finale on February 23rd. So we will have a slightly shuffled up championship as well. We'll see how the standings play out. We've got our drivers joining in. Welcome in. How are you all doing tonight?
Well,
Hello.
I would say pretty well. I won both races.
You can't complain about that, Mr. Don Fox. Welcome in.
No, you cannot.
Don and Teemu Pesinen. Am I saying that right?
Not at all, but it's fun. It's funny.
Well, I would like to know how to say it. How do you say it?
I am called Teemu Pesinen.
Teemu Pesinen.
That's better. That's really good.
We'll work on it. We'll work on it, my friend. We got it. We can't work on it unless we know. So yeah, we've seen you on the podium a few times, but yeah, welcome into the green room for a chat. Race number 1, a little bit more quiet for you than in race 2. You had to work your way through a couple of places there, Teemu.
Yeah, race 1 was just our quali. Like we just had a 1, 2, 3, so we're like had a gentleman's agreement to not ruin each other's races. Let's just keep it safe.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a bit of a racing with John Kilcoyne's internet was acting up, so we moved around because of that. But other than that, it was just we just held it. But I'm really happy with the overtakes I had. I'm not sure about like the T1 dive-in that I had, if I kept enough space, but it felt. I tried to give them space after like the dive-in.
Yeah, I mean, it looked all good from the helicopter cam we were watching. It didn't seem like there were too many kind of cars wobbling all
Okay,
up and
good.
down the road. Yeah, it looked all good from us.
Yeah,
And yeah,
I
Don
don't
from
think we had contact, but
yeah, I don't think so either. It looked pretty clean at the start, and especially for you, Don, you were kind of ran away there in race number 2, especially with all the cars battling behind.
Well, I mean, you just take the opportunities where you can get it. I think honestly, in practice, it was really showing that Temu, he was going to be the faster driver. But ultimately, I guess when it turned out race day, I mean, I guess I just got the luck on my side. I haven't played this game in 3 years. I've come from GT7, so I definitely did not expect the result that I got. But yeah, you definitely can hold my head high and say that I did pretty well. But yeah.
Yeah, and again, super tight in the qualifying times as well between you three at the top. I believe in both of the sessions, the top 3 were within a tenth of each other. So yeah, absolutely super close pace, and congrats on that. Yeah, great comeback.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I've known these guys for a long time, but that recently they invited me to join the team, and they were like, we want you to come on and do some ACC, and I was like, why not? Let's give it a go, and I'm glad I did. Thank you to Firebrand for the opportunity, and shout out to Blanche, our other teammate. He went from last to P6. I heard.
Mm-hmm.
I heard. So that was definitely a lot more impressive than starting first and ending first, I think. So.
Yeah, he certainly provided a lot of action tonight. Yeah, go ahead, Temu.
Also, if you didn't notice, in the first race, me and John Kilcoyne had both purple laps at some point.
Yes, we did. Yeah, that's happened a couple of times before that I've seen. But yeah, that's always it's always a unique thing seeing those 2 purple things flashing next to each other.
Yeah, we did following each other. It felt awesome. Sadly, I did like a slightly better lap, but.
Yeah, you just had to lift off right at the end there to make it have similar laps still.
Yeah.
I think you can definitely expect a lot more from us in the future. I think we'll definitely be. I mean, Dagrot's he's leading the championship. I know he got disqualified in the second race, which is a real bummer. But I don't think that there's I don't think this will be the last that you see of any of us. So hopefully many more. First 2, but hopefully many more to come. So
yeah, always happy to have you guys here, and yeah, you guys certainly know how to race. All the Firebrand guys provide great action, wheel-to-wheel racing. Botini at the end there almost got by Dr. Porkchop to get 4th too. So yeah, he was pushing as well.
They were tight.
That's our leader right there. That's our guy. that's the owner of Firebrand. Yeah, he's definitely going to be getting faster, especially in the off season. I hope we see a lot more from him too.
Heck yeah.
For context, it is 4:38 in the morning for me right now, and I have to wake up at 10 in the morning, so I am going to bed.
Like your problem, man.
Well, Temu, we appreciate you joining us tonight. Thanks for chatting and not going to bed right away. Thank you, Don, for joining as well. Congrats on those 2 wins on debut as well. Temu, podium once again. Yeah. Move you guys back here to the green room, and good luck in the rest of the season. 2 races remaining, like we said, at COTA. Then the season finale at the tight and twisty Snetterton. And here we go off to the closing 2 rounds. Tomorrow, Trackilicious has the LMU GT3 Sprint Championship, 40-minute races being held in LMU in just the GT3 only class. Things may change in the coming seasons. Who knows what will come of that? Then we switch it up to ACC, going into round number 6 at Paul Ricard this week in their fight for the championship between the GT3s and the GT4s. On Thursday, we hand it over to our iRacing commentators to get their multi-class season wrapped up with the final rounds in the iRacing Multiclass Championship, also having the GT3s and the GT4s. Friday is a long format of LMU with 75-minute races in the hypercars and the GT3s. Saturday, everybody gets a nice little break before switching it up to iRacing for the MX5 Cup Championship on Sundays. And all of that iRacing content being streamed here at Trackilicious. Lots to look forward to in the next season once the springtime hits as well. Thank you all for joining us, as always, for a lovely, lovely race in the Rookies GT4 Championship. Happy to have you here on your Monday nights. I have been Kuja Terekov. Stick around for the raid of Garrett Maines, doing some iRacing. Spread the love from one sim racing community to another. And as always, stay safe out there. Have a good rest of your morning, afternoon, or night. In this case, morning and night for Teemu finishing on the podium. Stay safe out there. We will catch you next time.